Welcome. Hi, konnichiwa. Hello to all my Biconics wrestling nerds out there, and welcome to another episode of Los Chicos Gordos, your weekly WWE NXT review for Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. I am your host, Mikey. Joined with me always is my co-host, Will, and we are here to bring you the highs and the lows of this week's NXT.
Yeah, we do. Not necessarily in a bad way, but
we're building towards deadline, so NXT's doing their best to get these qualifying matches and while also trying to make sure that we have a weekly television show leading to said pay-per-view in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So let's just jump right into it. So before we even get to our first match, we have like a cold open where we see Chase U coming through the parking lot, and this is like TMZ found them.
Exactly.
Paparazzi, people with microphones. Andre Chase looks like he hasn't slept in a few days. And he comments, he's like, this is total PR, like 101. It's like, I'm cooperating with the investigation. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to figure it out. I was like, sir, what did you do what investigation? What is happening?
What is going on? Yeah, no, I'm very much like, what did you do? I'm curious. I want to know now. I so want to know.
I mean, I do too. What I also loved in this moment is Duke Hudson just being a giant, like, golden Labrador.
Oh my God, I know.
He's so dumb. I love him.
Like, hey, everybody, how's it going?
We gotta go.
Yep.
I love Thea. I love that Thea is like the handler now. It's like, we gotta go, big guy. Let's go.
Yep. I love Jay-Z like covering her face. Like,
I know, she has the hood on.
It was so funny.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm assuming that we're going to find out soon what's going on here.
I hope, the next couple weeks, I want some segments. I need a murder board of some sort.
Seriously. Oh my God, that'd be fantastic. It has to be. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. That's what it's got to be. It's got to be him going, oh, it's this, and it's, connected to,
and then watch him be right in like the most absurd way possible. It's like, by God, Duke, I think you've got it.
Good Lord, you were right all along.
I kind of want him and Thea to be like our location investigator.
Oh my God, I know.
Any combination of these four I want. And so that's the cold open. I was like, where are we going with all this? Which then leads us into our opening match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We have the challengers, surprisingly enough, the family, taking on our champions, Chase U. And the crowd turned on Chase U so hard. They got booed.
They were chanting walk out. I was like, oh my God. Oh dear. And here I am going, what the hell is going on? Like, what is happening? And I mean, their whole section, like members of their cheer section got up and left the arena. And I was just like, what is happening right now? And the funny thing is Andre Chase was doing pretty darn good. That's what was so funny about it.
He was holding it down because he had to do all the heavy lifting because Tony and Stax were smart, though, and this is what I love in my tag team wrestling. I love when my tag teams are smart when it comes to how they operate in the match, because they knew to keep Duke down as much as they could, because if Duke got a chance to get into the ring, you're going to be thrown all over the ring, man. And Duke kind of did that with Stax when he grabbed him from outside of the rope and did his throwing German suplex. Still looks violent as all get go.
Oh my God, it does. But yeah, it was like, I was so like, when I was watching it, I was like, Andre Chase, he had a crazed look in his eyes. I was like, he is just, and I mean, because in the matches prior to this, he was always getting his ass handed to him. And then all of a sudden, he's pulling out all these moves and like taking both of the family members down at the same time. And I was like, what is happening right now? And he was on fire. And I mean, I knew what the outcome of this was going to be. I knew it, but the way he was fighting,
this man, I was like, what are?
No, Duke hardly did anything funny about it.
Poor Duke got hardly any offense in. And I think what made this match more interesting for me is when we got to the second half, because then Andre kicked it into second gear. Like when he tried to do the Chase U stomp and nobody was doing it. And he looked at it, he was disappointed, and then he got pissed off.
Yeah.
He went bananas. I was just like, poor Andre. I was just like, oh, honey, you're going to lose this match.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was like, for sure.
And I was kind of mad. I was just like, this is an Andre Chase I need to see more often, man. Like,
see, you know, this is one of those things, is that for story purposes, they create these scenarios where they bring in these wrestlers who, you know, for the most part, I don't want to use the term underperform, but like intentionally underperform. And then they have this one match where they're just like dynamite, and then it's gone. And I'm just like, excuse me. I think they could have pulled off Andre Chase being who he was, and him still being a damn good wrestler. Because that's to me, that's the thing about it, is he looks like a nerd. You know, he dresses, I mean, he looks like, literally like I could look at him wrong and break him in half. And then when he gets in the ring, he turns into this animal. See, that to me is far, and it's like he's trying to control the animal inside of him or whatever. And I wanted to see more of that, like little bitty pieces here and there. But in the previous matches, I mean, he got his ass kicked. I mean, there was none of this, because there was none of this in the previous matches with him. Duke he carried all the other matches that they fought in. And then this one happened, and I'm like, this Andre Chase is cool. I like this Andre Chase. So I want to see more of this Andre Chase. So don't, you people, you WWE out there, you listen to me, don't you screw this up. This better not be a one-off. And then he goes back to being, you know, straight-laced Andre Chase. No, I want to see him coming up in there, you know, in like black leather and shit. I don't know, but something. And I want him to like kick ass and take names, because this Andre Chase was cool, and I was loving him in this match.
I know, man. This made me appreciate Andre Chase even more, but unfortunately, the bada bing, bada boom gets hit from the family, and your new NXT Tag Team Champions are Stacks and Tony D'Angelo. The family are on their second title right now, and JC's just like, her face sold it. She's like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? Like, what is happening?
You know, and that's the other. I wish they had let them hang on to it at least one more week.
Right.
You know, just sort of like beat the family, and everyone be like, what the hell just happened? You know, it's like, you know, I love the idea of like, how long can their luck hold out scenario. Like that to me is a fun thing. I wish they had let them hang on to it for one more week at least. But yeah, the minute that they were going to fight the family, I was like, the family's going to win. I mean, they're just going to win.
Right.
So yeah.
After this tag team match, we get a video package from Lita, WWE Hall of Famer Lita. Love her. She's great. And she gives us the matches she has shown for the Iron Survivor qualifying matches tonight. For the women, she has chosen Roxanne Perez versus Lash Legend, which on paper I was excited for at this point. Then I was even more excited because the men match showed Trick Williams taking on Joe Coffey in this match. I was like, how are we going to overcome this? I'm like, baby Trick, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, I can't wait till we get to that because I have some words.
Okay. Really quickly, from here, we get a backstage segment. Dominic Mysterio's walking backstage, and he runs into Baron Corbin. They're both so awkward. This was like, whoever wrote this needs to be fired. This was awkward dialogue, and I don't blame Dominic or Baron, but the script was bad. The script was okay. Awful. It was horrible. I was awful. Like, what is happening? But essentially, they're just yucking it up, and Dominic says that if Baron needs help, like, he's got his back, and Baron says that I'm good, but thanks for the offer, and then they both go their separate ways. We'll talk. I'm gonna wait until we get to the main event to talk more about them, because I'm gonna wait. Mm-hmm. Then we get our first lengthy segment. In the ring, we have the Supernova sessions, with Noam Dar, and tonight's guest is all of Alpha Academy, so Chad Gable, Otis, Maxine Dupree, and Akira Tozawa. And then, of course, on the other side of the couch, you have Noam Dar, the rest of the metaphor, which is Cara Jackson, Lash Legend, and Oro Mensah. This is where I love my cheesy, cringy wrestling stuff, and I don't care what nobody says. Otis made me laugh so hard this segment. My God. I was like, what are we doing? Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. That's when I sent you the message. I was like, Alpha Academy, LMAO. So annoying. I was just like,
oh, also it's like, shoosh.
yeah. I'm like, please stop.
You know what? He got himself over with. The crowd loves it. I love it. You know, the character I wish could use some work, but I'm telling you, the in-ring is phenomenal. I can't wait for you.
I'm excited.
And Noam Dar.
Mainly because I love me some Noam Dar. I love Noam.
This matchup's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so next up, after this segment's over, we still get a little bit of metaphor because they're in the ring already. You know, they're hyping up Lash Legend because up next is our Women's Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match. Lash Legend's already in the ring, and then Miss Roxanne Perez makes her way down, and we get this match. I have words because I was thoroughly enjoying the match, and I have to say, I haven't been the biggest fan of Lash Legend in the ring because before, you could tell, prior to this and the matches I've seen her before earlier this year, she needed a lot of work. She's still learning. She was still growing. I thought she looked really good in this match, and I can for me personally, I can definitely tell the improvement. And of course, Roxanne is phenomenal as always.
Oh, I love Roxanne.
This was a perfect match because Lash is a really tall girl and Roxanne is very short. I don't want to say petite because homegirl could probably put me in a pretzel.
Yeah, fair.
I actually like how Roxanne was able to kind of make Lash look good in that size difference. And then of course, metaphor shenanigans happened and the ref actually threw them out. I was like, yes, this is what I want to see. Refs who are smart. They know, nope, throw them out. So then it just becomes one-on-one. And as Roxanne is getting ready to hit Pop Rocks, Jakara Jackson comes back out. I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm fine with this, which distracts Roxanne enough. And then all of a sudden, like, she gets attacked with by Kiana James, which allows Lash Legend to pick up the win here. And this is where I was kind of soured on the ending of the match personally. Nothing against the characters and the wrestlers, but for me personally, I thought we had finished with Kiana James when Roxanne, you know, and her had that Devil's Playground match at Halloween Havoc like a couple weeks ago. I thought we put an end to that chapter, but apparently not. I was so bummed. I like Lash.
She did, and I was just like, damn it. Let Lash Legend win this on her own.
Or if we're going to have shenanigans, I would rather have Jakara be the one to cause it than us.
I mean, I get it. I get Kalani and Roxanne's whole whatever the hell it is, but I'm just like, yeah, I would rather have had that than Kalani do it. I just was like, Kalani, I know that. I get it. I get you're pissed, but I'm like, you're better than that. You know, it's like you're better than that.
I was just like, you say that you're better than this, girl. Yeah. But I'm just like, oh my gosh.
And she just, it really kind of, it soured me too. I agree. I was sort of like, it was good. And now the ending sucked.
Then it soured it for me. But with Lash picking up the victory here, she will be joining Tiffany in the crop of women who are going to be in that match. So this is going to be interesting for sure. Next, we get a couple of backstage segments. We got a whole plethora of backstage segments for like the next 15, 20 minutes. This is the part of the show. It's like, we could have spaced these out. So I'll go through these bit by bit. So first, we're backstage with the rest of the tag team division, the men's tag team division, I should say, as they all talk about, you know, family, winning their championships back. They're on their second title reign. And eventually they all come to the conclusion that means is about to figure out who's going to be number one contenders. So everyone's kind of throwing their hat in the ring as to why they should be. Obviously, Hank and Tank they're both himbos and I love them, but they throw their hat in the ring. You have Idris Enofe and Malik Blade. We have half of Country Boy Strong, as I like to dub them. Yeah. You know, one of them's excited. The other one's like texting on his phone. I'm like, sir, what are we looking at on the phone? Like, what is happening?
What is
going on? And then all of a sudden, because we haven't seen them since their tables, ladders, and scares match, Los Lotharios come in and they give the verbal smackdown to Idris Enofe and Malik Blade, which prompts the family to come in with their new female associate, which I'm kind of digging. It's so horribly Jersey. I love it.
I agree. It's so funny. It was really funny when Los Lotharios just sort of appeared out of nowhere. It was just like, we're going, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, hello, welcome to the group. And yeah, you're right.
Los Lotharios have entered the group chat.
And it was like tongue lashings all around.
I was like, dang. I was just like, they lost, but they be giving verbal lashings out to everybody. And then, like I said, the family comes in. They are going to celebrate next week, so we're going to get some sort of celebration, which I'm excited for, to see how horribly wrong that's going to go. And then it prompts like the whole tag team division keeps going, and then they end up brawling everybody. I was just like, we always got to end a segment with everybody brawling in the back. It's a great time we had. Then from here, football, I was just like, I didn't know that was a thing. And then she gets an invitation on the television monitor. I was just like, I don't think that's how that works, but okay.
Yeah, I know.
And Xia Li invites her to a tea ceremony.
What would she do? At first I thought, it's so funny because they were watching it on the TV screen, but did she have her phone in her hand? Is that what it was?
Yeah, because they played like a text notification on the phone, and it's like, I got a message, and I was just like, there was no like transitioning statement in the script saying, hold up, let me put this on the screen.
Let me or anything. Yeah,
nothing. And she's like, hold up. And then it appeared magically on the screen. I'm like, I don't think how that works,
That's
but go off.
It's like, I feel like my privacy's been invaded.
But she gets invited to this tea ceremony, and Lyra's just like, okay, I'm definitely going to go, but first let's get back to the tape. I was like, what is this?
No.
Oh, calm down. And then we promptly get the tea ceremony, and I'm gonna be completely honest. As somebody who loves other cultures, loves, it being shown to a Western audience, I have to say, I'm gonna be the first to admit, I know nothing about tea ceremonies. Obviously, because it is not part of my culture, but I have heard of tea ceremonies and how beautiful they can be. And for me personally, I love that Xia Li was able to show her Chinese culture in this way, but I got worried. I was like, NXT, you're hit and miss. WWE, you're hit and miss sometimes when it comes to like the being culturally insensitive. So I'm just like, we need to calm down. But I think overall, after watching the whole entire tea ceremony and the interaction between Lyra and Xia Li, I do believe the tea ceremony was beautiful, and I'm happy that it wasn't used as a prop. It was actually used to be like, oh, look at me, this is part of my culture for Xia and all that good stuff.
I agree. I think that I was talking to you off camera. I was like, I really hope they don't turn this into a prop and they actually do it justice. And they did. I think they did. At least I feel they did. Of course, again, I'm not Chinese, so I don't really know. But the tea ceremony, I thought it was a nice touch, with the idea of warriors sitting down and drinking tea and blah, 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 blah. And I really liked it. So, but yeah, it was like, she's like, I'm not drinking this. It's like, okay.
It's like, Lyra. I was like, dang, Lyra. I was like, at least she didn't throw it in her face, because I thought, because listen, I love my NXT girls, but WWE, like, I was like, can we not do the catty behavior, please? Like, time and place for that. Yeah. Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah, and they didn't, which was good.
I think my favorite part of this whole thing is I love that whoever wrote the script for Xia, or if she came up with it on her own, she was able to equate the parts of the tea ceremony to like an actual wrestling match, like how to prepare for the match, everything that happens, like your anger boils inside, and if you don't let it out properly, it's going to destroy you on the inside. I was just like, Xia Li with the metaphors, let's go. Listen, as a writer, like my literacy nerd and like hot hard for this, I was like, oh my god, the colorful language.
Oh, I know, right? I liked it. I thought it was really nice. I thought it was a nice touch.
It was. And then we get to the other side of, the women's division. So Kiana James walks into the back and like basically like gives herself a pat on the back for ruining Roxanne's chances. And I love that the majority of the locker room was just like, girl, that was not it. I was just like, you are weird for wanting to do this. I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing.
The funny thing about this one is the women's locker rooms scenes are always they're so much more fun than the men's locker room scene. And you always hear me talk about how the women's stuff is better than the men's stuff. But I don't know what it is about the women's locker room. And the one thing I did love about this one is that they were all there. Like everybody was there. It wasn't like, usually it's like 3 or 4 people. There's like literally everybody it was just like. And she comes sauntering in there like she owns the world, which I love, with her purse, which I'm sure has her fake bricks in it. But yeah, this whole encounter was interesting. This, and I said it earlier, this felt like a clip show at times. And sometimes I felt like the clips worked, and sometimes I feel that they didn't really work, or it's not that they didn't work. It's just sort of like, why do we do that one? I don't know why. I don't know. I just sort of it just sort of sat wrong with me, and I don't know why. Maybe I was having a bad day today, which is very possible, because I kind of was.
Oh no.
But I don't know. It just didn't sit right with me, and I don't know why. I really don't know why. I can't explain it. I'm literally going, why did it bug me? But I while you were talking and I was sitting there thinking, and I was just like, I don't know why I didn't like this segment.
I think for me, what made this, and this is going to be a line through for all of the through line for all of this, I should say. This one was tough. Like, I agree with you. It felt like a clip show, but I also felt like, because we are only really doing qualifying matches for the people to be involved in the match at Deadline, like that's 2 matches that happen every week leading into Deadline, and then everybody else was not going to be participating in those matches, because the way they're playing it out is that they won't know if they're wrestling in those matches until, you know, the WWE legends and Hall of Famers are picking them if they get picked to be in. It's like a draft situation.
Right.
Everyone's just kind of sitting on their thumbs because, you know, those matches are happening. We're trying to build the other storylines for the pay-per-view. So, like, everybody is just chilling on the sidelines waiting for what's the next thing to happen, which we'll talk about a certain Guns N' Roses like ripoff. Because I was like, what are we doing? What? How? Why are we? What? We'll talk about him in a little bit. But I'm like, why are we?
Mm-hmm.
Made his debut, and I'm like, we're using him this way?
Yeah,
whatever.
This is what we're doing with him. I know. I was the same way.
You know, like, people we don't know what to do with. Braun Breaker is backstage with Mackenzie, has this interview. And then Dijak comes up and they have like this face off, which I thought was great. Don't get me wrong.
It was great.
I actually like this exchange of words, but I was like, sirs, we have not crossed paths like this in like the time that I've seen this in NXT. And I've been watching for a very long time. And so I'm just like, sirs, you were acting like you had some sort of blood feud. Like, we have not fought at all. And you know what? And this is what irritates me, because essentially this interaction tells me Braun Breaker's going to be a part of this match, isn't he? I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just, listen, I love Braun, and while I was a little miffed because they gave out the cross, it's like, oh, he's gonna be in this match in some capacity, isn't he? And I'm afraid he's going to win. I was like, please don't let him win. He doesn't need to win. I was just like, because of who we have so far, and you know, when we learn of potential people of who is going to probably be involved in the next 2 weeks, I'm like, no, I want this Iron Survivor match to showcase the upcomers and the kids we should keep our, like, Braun, you have won the title twice. I was just like, you have had 2 great title reigns. You do not need to be a number 1 contender. It is, I don't know, man.
No, I agree with you. This whole interaction was like, what are we doing here? It's like, why do we keep feeding into this? You know, that's my whole thing. The whole Braun was talking, you know, don't regret doing what he did, blah, 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 which, we already know. And then Dijak comes in, who, you know, by the way, I can't stand. And so then it's like, oh, look, 2 that I can't stand in the same location. And then they start going. And I was like, I sat back in my chair going, like, when did this beef happen? Because I mean, and Dijak came in there talking like they've had beef for years. And I'm just like, you know, I'm already, you know me and my take on Braun Breaker and the fact that, you know, unless you give me something, I can't get behind you. And I still can't. And this is not helping. Just like, I don't know what you want. And, you know, honestly, truly, Dijak, I don't know what the hell he wants either. So now we've got 3 in the NXT world, that being Braun Breaker, Baron Corbin, and now Dijak. And I'm just like, what the hell do y'all want?
There's no motivation. And I agree with you. I feel like Dijak has kind of lost his path a little bit ever since finishing up with Eddie in that chapter of their feud.
Then he was great, and then nothing.
Yeah, after that, then he was in contention to face Ilya at Halloween Havoc, and then now we're back to him trying to figure out what. I don't know. NXT, I love you guys a lot. I love doing this review and watching it, but we got to start figuring out motivations for our characters, man, because I know it's the end of we've been doing so since like September with a lot of these folks. We need to figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just like, I mean, seriously. And I know that sounds harsh, but truly, it's like, Baron Corbin, I don't know what the hell he wants. No clue. In all of the segments that I've seen him in, every time he's opened his mouth, never once has he actually said, this is what I want to achieve. No. It's a lot of little random crap. It's like, oh, Ilya, he's a whiny baby. I'm going to take him down. So I'm like, is that your thing? Because I can't get behind that. There's no reason for it. other than just to do it. Now, if you're going to be a bad guy, like a villain, and you do things, because even villains have motivation. I need something. Dijak is the same damn way. Now, when he was with the whole Eddie Thorpe storyline, that was a badass storyline. And I knew what Dijak was about. I don't know what the hell he is now. Ever since after that ended, and then he's gone with this, what's his name? The big Polish guy or whatever he is. The Russian guy, whatever.
Ilya.
No, not Ilya. The guy, he's like the big... Yeah, that guy. Since they kind of like brought all three of them together, like in the same picture. Are you trying to be a mob boss? I don't know. And then, of course, Braun is the same damn way. I don't know what the hell he wants. So I'm just, I could go on for freaking forever on this. I mean, it's just, give me something to hold on to. Give me some motivation. Because I can get behind you as a bad guy, good guy, whatever. As long as there's motivation behind it. And I don't see any here. On all three of those guys. I don't see any.
Right.
So, anyway.
Okay. So I'm going to couple the backstage segment and the match itself because I feel like they go together here and they complete the whole picture. And honestly, this is probably my favorite segment. Plus, this is probably my favorite match of the night for storytelling reasons. So, backstage, Mackenzie is with Trick Williams, our boy, and Carmelo Hayes, our enemy. Not really. I like you, Carmelo. You're awesome. You're a really nice guy, too. But anyways... So Mackenzie's interviewing backstage, and she's like, so Trick, you punched Carmelo. And Trick's like, mistakes happened, it was an accident. And Carmelo was selling it so well, he's just like, oh yeah, accidents happen. And I'm just like, if you could, like, if this was a television show, this is where Carmelo will turn to the camera and like express his inner thoughts to the audience and then go back. I really liked it. I did so much. I was just like, you could tell Carmelo was up to no good. And then we saw it even further. So we get our Men's Iron Survivor Challenge qualifying match tonight. First coming out is Joe Coffey and the rest of the Gallus boys. Listen, I love all the Gallus boys. They are great wrestlers. They are phenomenal. And I was like, hi, Joe Coffey. I've missed you.
And they're great to look at.
I mean, very, very true. And then, of course, our boy Trick Williams comes out. Booker T with the ad-libs in the theme song. I was like, yes.
I loved it. I loved it,
This match was great. But the one moment I wanted to talk about was towards the ending sequence. So, Trick Williams is getting ready to do a dive into, out of the arena. And what does Carmelo do? He tries to mess Trick up. I was like, I smell drama.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Carmelo Hayes, shall we?
And this is our heated angel moment of the week.
This man... First of all, I do not trust him as far as I could throw him. When they were in the backstage sequence and he is being all, oh yeah, Trick Williams is amazing. I'm like, you are a lying fool. You shut your mouth because all that's coming out of it is lies. And Trick is, and I'm hoping to God that Trick is not believing him. Because right now it looks like he's believing him. And then we get into the ring. He was pretending his hardest, man. He was over there like, yeah, supporting. But here's the thing. When they were down on the floor and Gallus came at Trick, and Trick went at him, and then they started whooping his ass. You saw Carmelo come around that corner and just do nothing. I was like, don't you do it? Because now I'm just like, if he does something to Trick Williams, I'm gonna be so pissed.
I hate to tell you. It's
gonna happen. I know it is, but I'm just like.
See, what I'm thinking is that they're gonna play this story out for as long as they can, and I think we get Trick versus Carmelo at Stand and Deliver at April. The April pay-per-view for NXT's the big one, Stand and Deliver, because it's WrestleMania weekend, and that's NXT's biggest pay-per-view.
And that's what I'm wanting. I want Trick Williams to call him out on his bullshit. And then be like, we're going to solve this once and for all in the ring. You and me, done. And I would be like, hell yes. And then let Trick whoop his ass.
Of course. But you know what? Even though Carmelo was plotting and scheming, our boy Trick Williams still pulled out a victory. That knee strike to Joe Coffey to pick up the win. So Trick Williams joins Dijak in the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge, and we will find out who our last three are going to be over the next couple of weeks. And I love the shot of Trick celebrating, and Carmelo is just like celebrating with him, and then looks away from camera. It's just like, darn it. I was like, I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you
meddling kids. Yep, agreed.
Speaking of meddlesome kids, because I love this one. Wesley is walking backstage. He's like, you know what? It's going to be a great night. Then Ilya pops up, and then Wes was ready. He's like, bro, you cannot be popping out like that. It was on. Wesley was ready to go on site.
Mm-hmm. He knows what it is. Well, he knows backstage.
Like, people are always getting jumped. I have to say, I actually really enjoyed this banter between them because I was like, oh my God, they respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, whenever we get Ilya versus Wes, at some point, I'm like, I am so ready for this match. But basically, they go back and forth. Wes tells Ilya, it's just like, bro, I was like, I appreciate that you're worried about me, but you need to be worried because I know, even though I was not NXT champion, it's like, I know as champion, you got to be ready for anybody and everybody to do stuff to you as the champion. Like, everyone wants that title. And I love, and this is planting seeds for the future, because Ilya's like, Wes, if you ever want a title shot, it's just like, you just let me know and it's on. I was like, yes. I was like, the respect is there. I was like, oh my gosh, this match is going to be great. And Wes is like, I appreciate it, but right now I got some other business to handle and I got some scores to settle, but we'll talk later. And then he's like, I got to go take care of a Baron Corbin problem tonight, and then walks off. So the seeds are planted. At some point, we're going to get Ilya versus Wes, and I still say it. I think whenever Ilya's ready to drop that title, I think Wes should be the one to take it off him.
Agreed. Totally agree. You know, I love that. That's one of the things I love about Ilya. He's a gentleman wrestler, as they all should be.
As they all should.
Even the bad guys.
Yes. Well, speaking of bad guys, backstage we see Baron Corbin getting ready for his match. Boy. Then all of a sudden, a wild Lexus King appears out of nowhere. I was just like, sir, what are we doing in this whole shenanigans? And again, dialogue choices are so weird in this. Because Baron's just like insinuating that, you know, Lexus, how did you do it? How did you get tricked to punch Carmelo? I'm like, you guys, we saw it last week. All he had to do was stand in front of Carmelo, and then as Trick went to go punch him, he just ducked out of the way. It's not a magic trick. Like, it literally happened that way. And I was like, Lexus, bro, acting classes 101, as John the Professor would say, John here at the Biconics, man. Like, we need to get Lexus some acting classes, because that was rough to watch, Will. That was so rough to watch.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about it is when this episode was first going on, and we were, you know, and I saw, you know, it was back when like the Supernova session was going on. I was sitting there, I was like, whatever happened to Lexus King? Like, where's he at? Why are we not seeing him in things? And then in this sequence, he pops in, and I was just like, is this what we're using you for? I mean, is this why you came into this? You know, all that smack talking on your promos, and then all you're doing is a shit stir. That's all you're doing. That's it. That's all he is. We've seen him fight once? Yeah, once. I'm like, are you gonna fight anything? I mean, are you here to do anything? It's like, I don't know. Why are you here? That's all I kept saying in that whole sequence. I was just like, why are you here? Because again, this is the other thing. He doesn't have motivation. I don't know what his motivation is. So I guess he's my number 4 on the list of non-motivators.
I don't know. Maybe it was just me. I wanted more from this tag team match, but like I felt like it didn't really give me what I wanted. The Brawling Brutes versus Alpha Mud. Like, I forgot this match happened until I looked at my notes. I was like, I forgot this was the thing.
Yep.
I mean, the Brawling Brutes won. That's all we really need to talk about. But
even though the Brawling Brutes it wasn't memorable.
I was like, oh, but how we have fallen so far after having a banging match at No Mercy for the Heritage Cup, and
this was so subpar for a tag team. It was like, you're right. I mean, I kind of was like, oh, okay. I got excited at first. I was like, ooh, yay, because I love me some Butch. But when he's an individual fighter, though, I don't know what it's almost like he's two different people, you know? It's like, because this was a completely different Butch than I'm used to. And I don't know that I like it necessarily. Like, I don't like the choice. I like him, but I don't know this. And the Mud, I am not a fan of that team. I'm sorry. And it's just because of the way they portray him. I just can't get on board with them. I was watching that, and I was just like, oh, this is such a stereotype. I mean, it would be like if you had like 2 gay wrestlers out there and like rainbow everything and like, hi, yas, la, 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 la. I'm like, why are we stereotyping? Stop stereotyping. And this is what I just couldn't. This whole match was just, it just left a really bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it was underwhelming, and Out the Mud is still not clicking with me because we're perpetuating the stereotypes. And Ron Bruce won, but I'm moving on from this.
Yeah.
This was really hard to watch.
Yes, it was.
Then this was the moment in the episode I had to question myself. I was like, am I slightly turned on by this? So Joe Gacy's on the top of the NXT Performance Center roof with the phone. Yes! I was just like, oh my God, where was this Joe Gacy during the whole entire dyad with the tree situation? I was like, he has lost his marbles. He threw a phone over the NXT roof and it cracked. And I was just like, where was this Joe Gacy the whole entire time? I'm like, I am intrigued, and I don't know whether to be happy or scared how turned on I am. This Joe Gacy is fucking hot. I'm sorry. He's got those beautiful blue eyes. Holy crap. I was like, when they were like up close on him, I was just like, I literally got lost in it. I was like, ooh, I sat there, then I was like, wait a minute. It's like, and he's got all like scruffy and his nose, the nose ring. And I was just like, what is, I don't know who you are or why you are, but I'm here for it. I mean, holy goodness. I don't know.
And I don't know. I'm saying it loud and proud. I'm not ashamed. He is hot.
Neither am I, but I have to question between Crazy Joe Gacy and Crazy Steve on Impact. I was like, what does that say about me and you?
Well, that is fair because I was Crazy Steve.
So, I mean, outside of the aesthetics of what we're going for, I also really enjoy. At first I didn't know where we're going with this when we first got the first like 2 promos like this on the phone. This one clicked for me really well. I was like, oh. I was just like, he's been wandering, like people have this idealized version of himself. I was like, as a psychology major, I enjoyed this promo.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, someone is off their rocker, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying. I love the fact that he's trying to find his place, and I am loving it. I love everything about it. I can't wait to see where they take this character now.
Me either. So we're going to speed run this because this singles match was okay. Gigi versus Ariana. Again, it was also kind of short. Gigi picks up the win here. We need to change Ariana's character. Moving on. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, seriously, that's about it. Because I literally was like, man. I was like,
I'm glad my girl Gigi won, but yeah.
Oh, I knew she was going to. There's no way that Ariana Grace was going to beat Gigi. No way.
This would have been a whole other review had Ariana won. No. Okay, so I actually want to spend like a minute or 2 on this. So we got close to the homoeroticism because Von Wagner. We had a clip show for Von Wagner and Mr. Stone, and then like literally Von got invited to Mr. Stone's house with his wife for dinner again. I was just like, guys, like, just say it. They're roommates. Just say it. They're roommates. This was so weird.
This whole this has got to be a planned thing. They have got to be playing into this. There's no way that this is coincidental. There's no way. I'm sorry. That clips they were showing, that whole slideshow presentation, it was like they were showing their freaking like vacation pictures.
I was like, is this the wedding reception? Like, what are we watching?
Exactly. I was like, is this the video that's going to play on the screen while you're at the reception? Because this is totally what that was. This is just like, they're sharing like these intimate things with each other. I'm like, I have a question, and the only question in my brain right now, and I'm sorry, and you can bleep it out if you want to, is like, are they fucking? Because that's what it feels like. I'm like, that slideshow was like super intimate. I would show that of me and my husband, not my best friend, quote unquote. It's like, I mean, this is like intimate. I get close friendships. I do. I get close friendships. I have close friendships. But I would never do a PowerPoint of intimate moments between me and my best friend. You only do things like that if you are having sex with that person, or you are intimate with them in a non-friendship kind of way. And I'm not talking about, you make this presentation because you copped a feel. This is, I made this presentation because I had a great time last night when you took me in the bed. That's what this is gay. That's what I was like, this is intentional. There is no way this is coincidental. There's no way. I don't care. No one's going, oh, isn't this lovely? Isn't this wonderful? No, they're going, okay, I think people know that they're having sex together now. Okay, I think we almost have it where we want them. This has to be. There's people in a back room somewhere going, what can we do? Oh, I know. Why don't we make people believe that Von Wagner and Mr. Stone are like bumping uglies? Oh my God, I love that idea. Let's go with it. How can we do that? Well, we need to do little scenarios where they get really close to each other, or they're very emotional with each other, or, oh my God, I have a wonderful idea. A PowerPoint with cool music and yeah, that's not gay. That is gay. I mean, that's gayer than me. And that's saying something. I mean, geez Louise. Come on, people. So, WWE, if this is intentional, my hat's off to you. If it is not intentional and it is truly coincidental, you're stupid. There you go.
I have nothing else to add.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's get back on track.
Okay. So
that was a whole journey, Will. Thanks.
I know. You're welcome.
No, we're keeping it in. It's gonna make great content. Speaking of making great content, I told Will off camera about this, but Eddie Thorpe is being interviewed backstage by Mackenzie, and I'm watching this by myself in the living room, and sometimes I speak my thoughts out loud, and I literally like, everyone be quiet, my man's on my television screen, because I was wondering what happened to Eddie after strap match with Dijak a couple weeks ago. I was just like, I hope he's not hurt. But Eddie says to Mackenzie that, after his strap match, he took some time off because he needed to center himself again. And now he's ready for the, should he be selected for the Iron Survivor Challenge, he's ready to qualify. And then he gets interrupted by Drew Gulak and 2 of the 3 people that are usually following him around, because there was no Damon Kemp. And so at first I was like, oh, Drew versus Eddie's going to be great. And then it's just like, oh, it's Charlie versus Eddie? I was like, this is a weird setup. You should have just let Charlie talk the whole entire time. Why did we let Drew talk? Because I initially thought, I was like, oh, Drew's talking, so Drew versus Eddie's going to be great.
That's what I thought,
no,
too.
Then it was like, oh, it's going to be Eddie versus Charlie. So Charlie basically says that he's going to stretch Eddie. Eddie's ready for it. So I love how they say if they get selected. I was like, you guys, you're doing horrible at high.
Yeah, we know you're good. We know
it's going to be Charlie versus Eddie either next week or the following week. So I was just like, whatever. I'm happy that Eddie's back. Yep. And I really hope he wins. I'm like, please let him win. I want him in the Iron Survivor.
He needs to win something. I agree.
Get Eddie on a pay-per-view finally.
Yes, he's a good wrestler. That's what I don't get.
I totally agree with you, Buster.
Buster's even like, yeah, get him on the pay-per-view. I mean, he's a good wrestler. And I don't understand why they don't. I think he could go up against just about anybody. I think he's that good, honestly. And give him a freaking actual chance, and not a Dijak Braun Breaker or some stupidness like that. Give him a legitimate opponent. That he can either dominate or be dominated by, but in legitimacy, not just because.
Right.
Even though I love the whole Dijak and Eddie Thorpe storyline, I really did enjoy it. I just never thought that I didn't think that it was legitimate for Eddie, a truly legitimate opponent.
It was a fun story, but yeah.
It was a fun story.
Let's get him on a pay-per-view, because I think Eddie's ready to go to the next level.
Me too. I think so too. Totally.
We get our continuation of a TMZ moment. So Andre Chase is exiting, and
JC
pulls up in the I love it. So Andre's getting hounded by the paparazzi, and JC kind of breaks through the crowd with the car, and she's the getaway driver and tells Andre to hop in. Andre hops in, and then JC speeds out of the parking lot. I was just like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm like, what kind of Magnum PI shenanigans are we about to get into the next couple of weeks?
I think JC's going to take him to a safe house and then tie him to a chair and make him tell her stuff. I really do. And I really kind of hope that's what happens. I was telling Mikey this off camera, I want this to be the beginning of something new, something darker and cooler and edgier. Because whatever this is that Andre, whatever he's got, I don't know what it is or what others have on him, But whatever it is, I want it to be like a legitimate, like, holy shit, Andre, who knew you were capable of such things type of thing. You know, it's like, and not, I don't know.
Right.
I hope it's like a legitimate, like, Andre Chase has has skeletons in his closet.
I'm so excited to see what happens. From here, we get the announcement that next week, WWE legend JBL will be picking the Iron Survivor matches for next week. Then we also get the bumpers for what has been confirmed so far for next week. So we're getting the Heritage Cup match between Alpha Academy and Noam Dar, so that should be fun. So let's talk about our main event. So our main event shows our boy Wesley taking on Baron Corbin. This was rough to watch, not in the sense that I thought it was bad, but Wes and Baron to me seemed they couldn't click at all during this whole entire match. And I was a little underwhelmed. I was just like, oh. I was like, I know both of you are great, but it was probably an off night, but they didn't really connect.
Yeah. Again, and it's one of those, it's like, I don't know what the reasoning behind this match was. And if it was just a platform to do the thing that happened at the end, then that was dumb. You could have done it. It didn't have to be done with, because to me, it was like, that's what it felt like. It didn't feel like a match that made sense. It literally felt like a punishment. And of course, it could have been anybody else other than Baron Corbin, and I would have been happy. Because if there's anybody in NXT that I hate the most, it is Baron Corbin. And to see Baron Corbin take Wesley down like he did, I was just like, what the hell is going on? This, and I mean, don't get me wrong, and I think Wes had some good stuff going on, but like you said, there was no synergy in this match. It was like they were being forced to do it. It's one of those, you now get in the ring and fight to the death. Neither of them really wants to do it, but they both have to do it. And that's what it felt like. And I was just like, and I was asking Mikey off camera, it's like, why did they pick Baron Corbin to fight him as his first fight back? I would have thought they would have put him in the ring with someone less aggressive or less stupid, but I don't know. I don't get it. It should not have been the main event.
No, I agree with you.
And I think Trick Williams, and Joe Coffey, that should have been the main event.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I totally agree. I think that match should have been.
Yep. Because this match was a throwaway, and I hate that trope so much. I really do. It's like, it's the big guy every time. You don't have to do that. I mean, come on. There are plenty of other wrestlers that they could have put Wesley with and proved something with. The Baron, I don't get it. Baron Corbin, and I know you guys hear me talk about it all the time, Soapbox. I don't understand why they keep putting him in such centralized positions. Because this match did not prove anything for anybody. Nobody got anything out of this match. I mean, Wesley got his ass kicked. Well, he didn't really get his ass kicked, but he got taken out. Baron Corbin it's another bragging chip? I mean, is that all it is? I don't know. This was probably, believe it or not, was my least favorite match of the night, which is unfortunate because I love Wesley and I was so disappointed in this match. And I think it's because they had matched him with hell, him and Trick Williams would have been a great match to watch, but I don't get that at all. Hell, put him up against Lexus King. He's not freaking doing anything, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about this match because it just makes me mad. It just makes me angry.
Yeah, this was unfortunate. And I think so before we get to the ending, really quickly, so towards the end of this match, Dominic Mysterio causes a distraction for Wes, which allows Baron to win. So it seems that we're going to be setting up, Wes still has business to settle with Dominic, which I'm here for, so we're going to reignite that feud. The ending also of the show in general also was kind of a wet fart for me. Because Ilya's music hit, so I hear him thinking, out here to go save his friend. And then he did it because Wes was already out of the ring when they started fighting. And then as Ilya was about to go for the Moscow bomb, I think it's called, Baron Corbin gets him and hits him for the end of days and, leaves. And Ilya on the microphone as he's laying on the floor says that Baron Corbin made a mistake. If he wants a championship match, he's got it. So it's going to be Ilya versus Baron for the NXT championship at Deadline. And that is how we go. That is how the show goes off the air tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a wet blanket. Total wet blanket at the end. So anticlimactic. I was just like, this night would have ended way better if that was the Trick Williams fight with Joe Coffey.
Honestly, I think, Trick. I think you could have swapped the Wes and Baron around. I get because Wes is a big name, but honestly, Joe versus Trick would have been a really fun way to end the show.
Way better.
Yeah, but that was NXT. So let's get into our ratings. I'm gonna give this like a 6 out of 10. Like, this was an okay episode of NXT for me this week. For me personally, there were way too many backstage segments, and outside of Trick and Joe, even though I didn't like the ending, at least Lash and Roxanne was fun, but every other match we got was okay or subpar at best, and I wanted more. Again, too many backstage segments. The matches themselves were meh to pretty good, but just from a booking standpoint, this show was all over the place for me, so 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I would agree with 6 out of 10, because, this, as I kept saying, it felt like a clip show. You know, it's like, we have nothing, so let's just show little clips from things we've done before. That's exactly the feel it had, even though it wasn't that, but that's the feel it had. And yeah, it was all over the damn place. I was just like, what is... And none of it made sense. Like, it didn't... None of it... I mean, not none of it made sense, but like a lot of your backstage sequences didn't really make sense to the story. They were just sort of there. And, some of them were fun, and things of that. But it was just like, I don't know what you were trying to do. But I don't think you achieved it. Or at least I did not see the achievement in it. But... So I don't know. It was weird. You're right. So the matches were meh. They weren't horrible, but they weren't great either. The Trick Williams and Joe Coffey was probably it was my favorite match of the night. My least favorite was the last one with Wesley and Baron Corbin. I enjoyed the opening tag team match with Chase U and the family. Both of the women's fights were so damn short that I really couldn't get into them that much. And it was, and then everything else was just sort of, the tea ceremony was appropriate because we got what we got from the last episode. So that tied in nicely, but yeah, I don't know I think they missed the mark on this one tonight. I really do, and I know they're getting ready for the big pay-per-view, but stop, and I think that has been sort of the standard for them almost, is that, we have a big pay-per-view, so the weekly episodes are not important. Or we'll throw 1 or 2 important things that need to be put out there for the deadline, like the knockout stuff and things like that. But then we mix it in with random ass shit like Corbin and Wesley. Oh, now my mind just freaking went blank. Oh my god.
Gigi and Ariana didn't need to happen tonight.
Yeah, that was the other one. I was like, it was one of the women's. Which one was it? It was the Gigi and Ariana. It was just like, it was unnecessary. Even the Brutes versus OTM.
That also didn't need to happen here.
That didn't even need to happen there. I know, it was just like, what is happening right now? There's no rhyme or reason to it. It was just sort of choppy and kind of blocky, and let's throw this. Here, we got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. That's what it felt like. It just felt like a mishmash of stuff. And I hate that. I hate it. It's like, you should be using your weekly episodes to build to your pay-per-view, and I, build, and this is this may be writing, maybe writers are the issue here. I don't know, programmers. You know what your deadline, you know what the outcomes are going to be. You know they are. You know what they are. So your storylines from weekly episode, from week to week, should be building to whatever is going to happen at deadline. So whatever rivalries you're wanting to set up for deadline, whatever shenanigans you're going to want to set up for deadline, whatever's. And that's what your weeklies are supposed to be. And we didn't get anything for that this week. I don't feel like. We got the knockouts, and they were half-assed. We got a tag team title switch, which... Why did we even have Chase U win it, to be honest?
Yeah, that was also weird. And I don't know.
Just to give it back to the people who had it prior to them. That's what I don't understand. It's like, why? Why did you even do it?
Yeah, this episode of NXT felt like a fever dream. This was a really weird one.
I'm hoping next week's is better.
I'm hoping so next week because we do have that Heritage Cup Championship match, and then we also have Lyra versus Zaya for the women's title too. So
that's true.
I'm hoping those two matches are good, and then obviously we get our next two Iron Survivor Challenge match qualifying matches. So let's put this lackluster NXT episode to bed. So we have come to the end of this week's edition of Los Chicos Gordos. Yes, we did talk a lot of smack about this week's NXT, but I am so happy to have Will here to be my tag team partner in reviewing this because I get to share my love for and hate for NXT sometimes with another person, so it's no longer just me. But if you want to hear more of Los Chicos Gordos, you can check us out here at the Biconics YouTube channel where we review NXT as well as all the other weekly shows. You can also follow us all over the social medias at bcwrestlepod. We're on Facebook, Twitter, or X, as the kids say, TikTok, Threads, Instagram. Like, we're all over the place at bcwrestlepod, where you can get notifications of when these videos go live, as well as out of context clips, which are great. And yes, there may or may not be some certain parts of this episode that make the content, so we shall see what happens. And if you thought this was unhinged, you need to go subscribe to our Biconics Wrestling Podcast, where all podcasts can be found, whether it's Apple, Spotify, like your choice. We're pretty much everywhere. We literally pimped ourselves out to anywhere and everywhere. It's great. And it gets nuts. And I'm just preparing you because our end of the year special is coming up in a couple of weeks. And trying to corral 9 of these guys to figure out who is the best and the worst of the year is going to be a task. And I'm so excited. It's going to be great. But from myself and Will, remember, and the rest of the Biconics boys, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always,